2016, we did a strategic plan with the town of Pelzer. It was funded by the Municipal Association through their Hometown Economic Development Grant. Through that process, we learned a lot about each other and maybe what our goals were. And for us in West Pelzer, we really wanted the market study. And that market study is what helped us go to some of these local businesses or future local businesses and kind of entice them to come into the city. We also started our Facade grant program as part of that in 2017. And so, frankly, we've met all of our goals that we set in 2016 and 17 for a 10-year plan. And the important thing for us was to realize that we had hit those goals and that we needed to start revisiting that immediately. And so as part of our ARPA funding, Council allocated some funding to update that strategic master plan, but also to update our zoning ordinances. And so as part of that, we went through a request for qualifications process. And that request for qualifications, we had about 5 different consulting firms, and we chose Bolton and Mink, which has a Greenville office as well as a Charlotte office. And so a couple of weeks ago, we had our first public input meeting where we had about 125 people show up and just talk to us about what makes West Pelzer great. What would you like to see here? You've grown really fast in 5 years. What did council do right? What did council do wrong? How can we improve? And leading up to that meeting, we had a steering committee that kind of helped set the questions that we wanted to ask so that we made sure we got the answers that we needed, but that it wasn't a negative meeting. And so that steering committee consisted of elected officials, appointed officials, town staff, business owners, residents, elder residents, as well as new residents. So we had So we made sure we represented all areas of the community. And so what has come out of that meeting really are a couple of goals that we're starting to see float to the top. One is a safe, connected community. One of the things we heard was that the residents and businesses wanted us to have some walking trails, wanted us to expand our sidewalk network, and wanted us to engage the river. About a year ago, the town of West Pelzer signed a long-term lease on 10 acres of wetlands along the river, and we have some money, thanks to our legislative delegation, to perhaps put in a kayak launch or put in some boardwalk trails. So we're looking at what to do with that park as well as part of being a safer and connected community.
And even before this, you've been thinking about trails and working on the trail system around here anyway.
Yeah, so Pelzer, West Pelzer, Williamston, and Belton have all been talking for the past couple of years about how do we connect over. We're not maybe as blessed as perhaps Belton and Anderson to have this rail line between the two that's abandoned, but we've been looking for opportunities to engage some trails or at least expand our sidewalk network. A couple of years ago, we actually passed a resolution of support for a 10-foot sidewalk along Depot Road, which would connect Pelzer, West Pelzer, and Williamston to the schools. And so that's part of the long-range transportation plan that is a 40-year plan, if you will. The second point was vibrant places for neighbors, and one of the things that you all have heard me always talk about is that we're a front porch community. We want you to walk down the sidewalk, we want you to know your neighbors, drink that sweet tea on their front porch, rocking their rocking chairs, and get to know each other. And so part of those vibrant places is creating other places in the community besides our core downtown or Chapman Park that people can gather. And so that may mean an additional pocket park in a community. It may mean another gathering spot. But we know that while our main street is only 1 mile long, we have some really unique opportunities to perhaps position some more public spaces and really start to initiate and invigorate neighbors to get out and meet each other and just love on each other. I mean, we're a loving community. So that the third.
As part of that too, I know since you and I have been talking over the years, one of the things you wanted to have with that front porch community is also being able to almost be self-contained, to be able to walk to get something to eat, walk to the store, walk to church.
That's right.
And that's been a big part of what y'all are doing too, right?
Absolutely. It's huge. And so I've been fortunate to get to speak with other mayors from much larger cities across the state. And I presented with Knox White before and hearing Mayor White from Greenville talk about how connected Greenville is and how, as you said, you can do everything on Main Street. If you live in downtown, you can walk to the grocery store, the park, the local tap room, a place to get something to eat, a church. And so we have those same offerings, and it's unique to get to talk about it from different perspectives. You know, government is definitely scalable, and albeit we're 1,000 people and there are 70,000 people, we have those same things in our community. So if you live in West Pelzer, yes, you can walk to the local grocery store. You can walk for shopping, whether it's home goods at an antique shop, to grab a sandwich, to eat some Mexican food, to go to the tap room, or to go to church on Sundays and Wednesdays. We are definitely a walkable and safe community that's connected to all of our amenities. So that's the third point being that we wanted to celebrate our unique history and character. And we have been looking for ways to engage Frankville. I have always told the story of 1913, Christmas Eve, you know, as the snowflakes fell, the Secretary of State incorporated the town of Frankville, named after John Franks, and then 5 years later it changed to West Pelzer. And so we've been looking at ways to engage Frankville, engage our history, knowing that it's unique for gambling, dogs, and alcohol, knowing that there's a lot of communities that can't embrace their history or are not able to in this day and time. We actually have an opportunity to embrace that. And so with that might mean that we might have a Frank Fest coming up in 2023. It might be a hot dog eating contest, or all city staff may be dressed up like hot dogs at Pumpkin Palooza. We don't know, but we want to find a way to embrace that and have a little fun. And actually at our public meeting that we had, we gave out 50 shirts that were like baseball uniform shirts. It had Town of West Pelzer on the front and the back. It had number 13, and the name on the back was J. Franks. And so that was kind of our first initiative to introduce people to, hey, perhaps John Franks was a really cool fellow. Perhaps he was a pioneer for rural communities, and perhaps we need to embrace Frankville. Not suggesting that we would change the name of the town or do anything like that, but perhaps we have a Frankville Crossroads, or perhaps our next park is named after John Franks. Again, just to introduce that history and let people know that we're not just a thoroughfare to connect 385 and 85. We're actually a loving community that is connected and will embrace our history. Yep. So the second tranche should be here sometime this fall for ARPA, which is allocation from the federal government through the state to us for COVID relief. At the start of this process, council allocated funds for tranche one. Tranche one was, you know, all new radio red meters for water efficiency. It was the master planning process. And so as we start to look at the second tranche of funds, we're going to use this master plan to help us implement those next components of it. So the town owns some property throughout town that we could perhaps leverage to have additional park spaces. We did do some beautification along Main Street with a new streetscape in our local business district, so we may be expanding that streetscape. And then the main thing, and I never thought West Pelzer would have this problem, is that we have a parking problem on Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We're kind of a weekend community, and we're okay with that. But it's not uncommon at lunchtime on a Thursday or dinner time on a Friday to not be able to find a parking space. And so we're looking at opportunities perhaps to partner with the local churches or to purchase some property that would allow us to expand our parking. The final thing out of the ARPA funds that council has directed me to look at as part of our vision, and hopefully this master plan reinforces that, is to lower speeds along Main Street, and not necessarily to reduce the amount of traffic, but to improve the safety with the traffic as it currently stands. And so we're looking at, can we do on-street parking for all of Main Street? Removal of the bike lanes would mean that we need to make sure that we have a connected system somewhere else. And so if we have plans for an off-street pathway or neighborhood greenway through the neighborhoods, perhaps we can remove the bicycle lanes off of Main Street and have on-street parking. So those are just some of the ways we're looking at using some of the next tranche of ARPA funds: parks and recreations, transportation and traffic calming, and parking.
You know, let's start with businesses. Seems like y'all got some new businesses right here in downtown West Pelzer. Let's just kind of talk about how businesses have gone over the last several months.
Absolutely. Well, it's always best if we start talking about 2016. So in 2016, we had 0 businesses in our downtown, and that was council's push, and my push as a vision was to make sure that we filled up our downtown core, albeit the size of an electronics department in Walmart. It's small. We wanted to have it filled up. And so our new businesses that we've welcomed this year are Baby Sumo at 26 Main Street, Cotton Duck Cafe at 19 Main Street, and then we just cut the ribbon for a grand opening for Don Jose's located at 78 Main Street. So we have a wide variety of restaurant offerings now with...
You went from no food to...
We went from no food to all food, which is great. Cotton Duck Cafe is your sandwiches and coffees. This winter they'll have soups. Baby Sumo is your hibachi Japanese cuisine. Milltown Place is your meat and three, and then Don Jose's is Mexican food. So we're super excited that all of them are here, and they're doing extremely well.
And you've got a barbershop?
We do. We have A1 Barbershop, which is a gentleman's barbershop, so you can get your shave and a haircut and a hot towel. They stay booked out a lot, so make sure you visit them on social media to book online. They have a note in there that says if you're a walk-in, you could wait up to 4 hours for a haircut or a beard shave. So they're extremely busy. They have 5 different barbers, and it's owned by a Latino family that's local to the area that has lived here for a while. So we're super excited that they're here.
And your Lincoln Tap Room is about to celebrate their 3rd year, and that's been a big part of what's going on here.
It has been, and so the tap room, which is owned by my parents, Rick and Denise Sanders, they've really invigorated the community with live music and additional food trucks that complement our food offerings. And so, yes, September 24th, they celebrate their 3rd year anniversary with a band, a food truck, axe throwing, and they're unveiling a Lincoln Tap Room beer, the Honest Abe Pale Ale, that's made by Good Times Brewing in Greenwood. The other thing that's unique about West Pelzer over the past few months is that we've noticed that there's some people in town that perhaps come to our local restaurants, or that you hear them talking, and they're not from here. They're from out west, or you hear them talking about they're traveling to Clemson for the weekend, or they've got a meeting in Greenville. And so it started having just some intercept surveys with them, just some casual conversations. We found out we have a good many Airbnbs popping up in West Pelzer, which is unique again to our community, that in the fall time you can jump on Airbnb's website and you can see that we have 4 or 5 offerings in West Pelzer, and one that's going to be coming on is just outside of city limits, one property out, but is the Grove at Dalrymple, and so it will be an Airbnb and bed and breakfast at a 100-year-old Century Farm, which was former the Dalrymple place. So we're super excited to see people staying in West Pelzer for a night, because that means we can capture them maybe shopping in the evening, or perhaps having their drink of choice, eating dinner. They stay the night, and then that next morning before they leave, we know that they're going to visit the coffee shop. They're going to visit, have breakfast at Milltown Place. And so we're starting to see our hospitality tax increase just because of having those Airbnb places to stay at, to capture them for one night. We're hopeful that the county is collecting that accommodations tax off of those, and able to distribute that across the county as well.
But the hospitality tax is important, right, for you guys?
Yes, hospitality tax is very important for us. We started in 2008, I believe it was, and even during COVID, we started to see a slight increase, and then post-COVID, it has just went straight up, which is great for us because we recently paid off all of our debt. So we have no more sewer debt, we don't have any hospitality tax debt, we don't have any water debt, which means we're able to actually use those funds as they're intended to be used, which is parks, recreation, and tourism. That's why we had additional funds this summer to do summer jams, which was the last Friday of every month, June, July, and August. And we'll continue to have those sort of events as long as hospitality tax continues to increase.
And we're moving through the summer, and that's not usually y'all's busy time for events, but moving into fall, y'all got a lot of things coming up here in the fall.
We do. So fall is our time to shine. As we start to look at, or as we started to look at kind of our market and our demographics, and when do we see the influx of traffic, we obviously noticed that 7 times a year when God shines on Clemson University and Death Valley, that we have an influx of traffic. So we want to make sure that we have our best foot forward during those weekends, but our fall is our season to shine. And so beginning October the 1st, we have our 6th annual mile-long yard sale. So it's a great event for everyone in the community. Highway 8 will be just full of yard sales in people's yards. We'll be announcing online some public spaces that people from out of town can go and set up. Or if you know someone that lives in West Pelzer, please contact them. Ask them, can you set up in their yard? Our first year that we did it, we had about 15,000 people in West Pelzer. I will go ahead and say that October the 1st is a home game for Clemson, and so be patient as you drive through town. It will be extremely busy. There will be a lot of people out walking, biking, riding golf carts along with that Clemson traffic. October the 15th, we have Westie's Vintage Market. That's put on by Westie's Antiques and Vintage Heirlooms. It's a private event. It has about 40 antique vendors that set up in Chapman Park. October the 22nd, we have Farm Days. which is put on by the Future Farmers of America and the Farm Bureau. And so you'll be able to come out and meet your local farmers, buy some local produce, touch a tractor, ride a tractor. It's just a great family event. And then October the 29th from 6 to 8, we have Pumpkin Palooza. So we'll have about 7 different churches, the town, fire department, police department, EMS. We'll all be giving out candy to those that are dressed in costumes. So line up early. Again, it's from 6 to 8. And then the first weekend in December, we have our annual Christmas parade where we partner with Pelzer. So we're super excited about that. We've already heard some rumblings from some of our local businesses that Santa may be making a stop back through, perhaps in Cotton Duck Cafe or in Baby Sumo, just to have some one-on-one time with the kiddos before he heads over to Springwater Park.
And y'all are the only night parade in Anderson County, right?
We are the only night parade, and so we started that 3 years ago as a way to kind of celebrate or partner with Pelzer and what they had done throughout the decades with the Christmas lights and the light people. We thought it would be a great way to show kind of our solitude together, that we wanted to look towards the future, but we wanted to have something at night. We wanted to be a little bit different and celebrate some of that history. So we've talked about that for many years. Should we embrace the Christmas season, or should we partner with other communities? And we never want to. The Three Amigos never want to step on each other's toes. I will never have a huge event the 4th weekend in August. That's time for the Springwater Festival. We may have a smaller event that complements, but we'll never do anything like that. And so Mayor Burgess and I have talked, and Mayor Ragland and I have talked as well. That's Williamston's time to shine. They have a beautiful park that's immaculately decorated for Christmas time. And so we make sure to help complement that, maybe by having cookies with Santa on a Saturday morning, or a Saturday before Santa goes to the park that evening. We have a time where he's in Chapman Park so that we can help complement. The fire truck rides him over there and takes him off. But yeah, we partner with our other communities. Mayor Burgess has been very gracious in allowing us, West Pelzer residents, and elected officials to be part of their tree lighting ceremony in the center of town. We truly are three communities and three towns and one community, and we work so well together that we talk about these things way before it gets to the point of being contentious, if you will.